The Nationals just may have had a make or break decision with CJ Abrams, and this one might have broke them.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into Locked On Nationals. I'm your host, Ryan Clary. We thank you for making us your first listen every single day. And before we get into it, today's episode is brought to you by Kalshi. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code LOCKEDON to get $10 when you trade $10. And later on in the show today, we've got a Texas Rangers Washington Nationals series, and we might be having a revenge game coming on Thursday. I'll tell you what that is later on in the show today. And in the second segment, could the Nationals be calling up Seaver King? Well, Spencer Nussbaum of The Athletic had a very interesting story and spoke with some people who have some thoughts in the organization. So I'll tell you what that is and what I think about it in that second segment. But this might just be a make or break moment with CJ Abrams. And honestly, I think it might have just broken their relationship. Now, I could be wildly wrong, but here's why I believe that it could. We talked about yesterday with the timing of this move. It's pretty rare to see a starting National League shortstop moved off of that position in the middle of the season, let alone a month and a half left in the year. It's really strange. You don't really see that all too often. And especially for a guy who has been an all-star for this team now multiple times, was an all-star starter. He has been an MVP candidate this season, the way that he's been hitting. I mean, he has been an incredible player for the Nationals and really has been one of the most consistent Nationals for the last 4 or 5 seasons at this point. The timing of it is just odd. It just is odd. You can't really look past that thing. Now, I just feel as if that the Nationals have kind of put themselves in a little bit of a pickle. I don't have any sources. I'm not saying that I've talked to people about this. I haven't. But I do feel as if that CJ is probably rubbed the wrong way. Because if you see the national perspective, like with MLB Network and what they are talking about, everyone is saying how strange of a move this is for the Nationals. And it's not the fact that, listen, I think people know that long-term CJ is a second baseman or maybe an outfielder or a third baseman and not really necessarily a shortstop. He leads Major League Baseball in errors right now with 19 on the season. Like, we understand that. Not a good defensive shortstop at this point. He hasn't been that way for years now. But to move him off that position a month after he was starting in the National League All-Star game, or in the MLB All-Star game, starting for the National League, a year of which he is having a monster season, a .529 slug, which is by far and away the best of his career. A year of which he's hitting 29 home runs, leads Major League Baseball with 91 RBIs. It is just an odd timing to do that with one of your best players. And I think that if the Nationals were to call up one of their top guys and say, oh, well, he's going to be the shortstop. Okay, that makes sense. But that's not the case right now. They're going to roll with Nasim Nunez at shortstop, and I think that ultimately makes sense because Nunez, listen, great shortstop. We talked about it yesterday about how he could legitimately be a Gold Glover at shortstop. That makes all the sense in the world. But also, Nunez isn't a core part of this future. Like in 5 years from now, when the Nationals are hopefully contending and they have a consistent winner, Nunez is not going to be the Nationals shortstop. He's not going to be that starting guy for this team. I just feel as if right now, this move may teeter their relationship a little bit. And I'm not saying both sides are going to hate each other, or the Nats hate CJ Abrams, or CJ Abrams hates the Nats now moving forward. I'm not saying that is the case at all. But to tell someone who's having the best season of his career, with a month and a half left in the season, for a team that is no longer competing for the wild card, to then move him off of shortstop and not expect any pushback whatsoever, that's a tough decision. Because when CJ was asked about it on Friday when Blake Butera officially made the call that he's going to be moving to second base full time, but yet still playing shortstop 1 to 2 times a week. CJ said he still views himself as a shortstop. And I don't blame him. Like, listen, that's all he's played his entire life. He has been a shortstop since he was 7 years old, through middle school, through high school, through the minor leagues, through the first couple of years in the majors since 2022, when he was a top 10 prospect in baseball for the Padres and then for the Nationals. It's just a strange decision and strange timing overall. I do kind of wonder this, though. Will they sell CJ Abrams when the price is this high? Like, I think that's kind of now the bigger question. And does this really make the Nationals more likely to move him moving forward? I think that this relationship is salvageable. And I do think that, listen, I don't think this is going to be the end all be all, but you do wonder what CJ's agent thinks of this. You do wonder what CJ thinks of this. And you have to wonder what Paul Taboni and Blake Butera think of CJ Abrams moving forward. The whole thing is just weird. And the timing of it is weird. It's strange. And especially without calling up a Seaver King right now, you're going to roll with Nasim Nunez as your starting shortstop? Okay. Here's the thing with the Nationals, though, and from their perspective, I understand this move, like from this point. I understand this, but I think the timing of it is still weird. How I understand this from the Nationals is, listen, this is a bad defensive shortstop at this point. You haven't seen much improvement. You've seen guys improve their defense overall. You've seen Dalen Lyle really improve in the outfield. I think we've seen James Wood really improve himself in the outfield over the years, but you haven't really seen that growth from CJ. But you've seen a lot of growth from him offensively, so it's not the fact that they're not coaching or he's not soaking it in. Like, clearly it's just not a fit for him long term. So if you're the Nationals, like, these are all professional big league players, you have to make the best decision for your team. And if this is the best decision for your team, which I think it is at this point, then I understand why you have to make that move. But with a month and a half left in the season, is that timing worth it at this point? Or is this maybe a conversation that you can have in the offseason? Or is this a conversation that you had last offseason or during this season? Like, hey, CJ, your numbers defensively are not good enough. And we need that to be the star of our defense at shortstop. And we can't have you making 19 plus errors through the first couple months of the season. We need to have someone who is a consistent, steady defender. And the Nationals don't have that with CJ at this point. So it does feel as if right now that this move feels like a make or break kind of move for this relationship. And I think right now where I'm at, I do feel as if this could break it. And I do feel as if that where the Nationals are today, you're putting yourself in a really tough situation because, number one, I think everybody in baseball knows that CJ will be open for a trade this offseason. And now you're going to be trading him as a second baseman. You've already made that decision for him. And you've made that decision for executives out there looking for CJ. But if the Nationals maybe wanted to extend him, which might be a piece of this puzzle, maybe they move him to second base to bring his price tag down a little bit. But I personally don't believe that. I think that the Nationals, listen, is this part of it for the Nats? Possibly. But does it make it more likely that CJ signs an extension? No, I don't think so. We can get more into that later on this week, but where I'm at with this move is just the timing of everything. It's a really tough decision to make in the middle of August. As you were a week ago, kind of pushing for a wild card spot, and you now move him off that. And okay, like if you're going to call up Seaver King, that makes sense. He's the better defender. You move him over there to shortstop, but that's not the case right now. And with where CJ is in his career and what this guy has been doing for you, it just feels odd to make this move right now. And I think with where the Nats are, I wonder if it kind of ruffles some feathers. And I wonder what his agency thinks about it. I wonder what CJ thinks about this move. I think we kind of already know what he thinks. He's not very happy, and he shouldn't be too happy about this. Everything about this is odd at this point. And I think that the timing of it is weird. And I think that this could be something that breaks the relationship between CJ Abrams, his agency, and the Washington Nationals. I truly do believe in that. But also, maybe CJ's a professional and everyone moves on and has a perfectly fine time with this move. But that's a hard sell for me at this point. So we'll see what happens with this, and we'll see if the Nationals have the right move, and we'll see just how this unfolds. But man, is it a little bit strange to see this happening in the middle of August when your team is out of contention for a National League starting shortstop. That is a tough decision to make, but the Nationals have made it, and I think tonight we'll probably get our first look with CJ over at second base. But next, let's talk about this. Like, with this move, I would expect Seaver King to get called up. Well, is that going to happen? Let's talk about that right after this. Before that, let me tell you about our friends at Amazon, and a big thank you to our friends at Amazon for this limited break. This back to school season, spend less on your kids with Amazon. We all know how crazy the back to school shopping experience can be. It starts with a few items on the list, and then suddenly you're shopping for supplies, clothes, lunch gear, tech, and about 10 other things that you didn't see coming. It adds up fast. And of course, when you look at your long school supply list and wonder if you're shopping for one child or opening a small office supply store, I didn't realize first grade required this much inventory, but shopping like this can get out of control if you're not careful. And with Amazon, you get the best prices on back to school shopping. And also, more importantly for me, you get to miss out on those crazy long lines, because we all know those office supply stores where you're going to be going there. They're going to be out of half the things in there. You're going to wait in a 30-minute line. You're going to go to customer service and beg for them to ask, when are we going to get this back in stock, or when can we get this? But you can do it on Amazon online, no hassle, and the best price guarantee. And also, you can get your kids back to school clothes shopping done as well with the best prices possible. So remember, with Amazon's low back to school prices, just spend less on your kids, because every dollar you don't spend on them is a dollar you haven't spent on them. Shop back to school at Amazon and spend less on your kids. We're back here live on Locked On Nationals, and the Nationals are not calling up Seaver King at this point. Well, Spencer Nussbaum of The Athletic, he wrote about this a couple days ago, actually, in his piece, and he was kind of saying that, he talked with people who are close with the organization and familiar with their thinking process, and it doesn't feel as if a Seaver King move is imminent. And he was on with Beamich and Finley yesterday and just kind of went in deeper on that and said that the Nationals kind of want to see more at bats from him and get some more reps, and maybe he's not 100% ready. I'm going to need the Nationals to be ready with Seaver King. This should be the corresponding move. I have always had this thing, listen, it can go both ways. I think it is a little fair to sit there and consider, like, oh yeah, you don't want to call up a prospect if you don't believe that they are ready. That's totally fair. That could ruin their development. It could ruin a lot of different things. And I understand that point. But also, if a guy seems to be ready, which I think Seaver King is, he's been crushing the baseball recently in AAA. He has had a monster month of August. He's playing good defense at this point, from all things considered. And I think that Seaver is someone that immediately upgrades this team and adds a little juice, adds a little energy, adds some excitement. Why don't you call him up now? And I think that, I'm not saying I don't believe Spencer Nussbaum. Like, that guy is one of the best reporters out there. Great writer, great everything. But it's hard to believe that the Nationals will not call him up sometime within the next 2 weeks. Like, the rosters expand in September. If Seaver King does not get the call up, what are we doing? I think that the Nationals, they want to give Nunez a fair shot at shortstop or playing second base again. but Nasim Nunez has the worst OPS in baseball amongst qualified hitters. We know what Nunez is. He's a defensive replacement later on in games who's going to make a couple spot starts because he's that good defensively. But we don't know what Seaver King is yet. And I think the Nationals are in a good spot where you should be trying to have Seaver King play up in the major leagues at this point. He feels like he is major league ready. And for someone who was drafted 2 years ago in 2024, a top 10 pick, you should be ready to make that jump. And I'm not saying Seaver is not ready, but I don't think the Nationals are ready to do that at this point. I wonder what the thought process behind Seaver King is, and I really wonder what this organization thinks of Seaver King. This is not the group that drafted him, but this is the group that has really developed him. And this season, he's had this monster year across 2 different levels in AA and now in AAA as well. I thought that there would be some struggles at the plate in AAA, but that has not been the case at all. And I think Seaver is ready to make that leap. If you look at Seaver King's numbers this year, in AA Harrisburg, in 35 games, he batted .336 with a .562 slug and a .989 OPS. Clearly crushed the ball in AA. Time to move him up, and they did. And now this season, in 47 games with Rochester, he's batting .301 with a .505 slug and an .882 OPS. And also in that time, he has 9 home runs in those 47 games, while he had 5 home runs through his first 35 games in AA. The power is showing there. He's driving the ball in the outfield. And if you look at some of his overall metrics, according to TJ's stats, his whiff percentage is in the 53rd percentile. His zone contact percentage is in the 59th percentile. His strikeout percentage is in the 55th percentile. One thing we know about this Nationals group is they want to see someone who is not chasing pitches. And I think that they're probably trying to wait to have his walk rate come up, because his walk rate is in the 10th percentile and his pull air percentage is in the 2nd percentile. So they'd probably like to see him start to really turn on the baseball a little bit more. But I've always been the one to say, I love analytics. I think it's smart. I think it's good for today's game. But Juan Soto doesn't pull the ball in the air. He goes the opposite way. James Wood goes the opposite way. I'm not saying he's going to be those guys, but I think that pulling the ball in the air, if you're a Abby Ortiz, yeah, let's do that, because you're mostly a platoon guy who crushes right-handed pitching. Yeah, I'm going to want to see you pull the ball in the air. But if you could be a good overall hitter the way that Seaver King could be in the way that he is showing at this point, I don't really care too much about that, because I'm not calling up Seaver King because of his power. It is a nice thing to have, which I think he does, but I also think that he is an overall good hitter, and I think that he helps his team defensively. And I think that he adds a little bit of a spark, especially from the right side of the plate. When you get back James Wood, which hopefully should be sometime the next few weeks, you will add a power left-handed bat on top of a Seaver King and CJ Abrams, and you still have got Abby Ortiz in the lineup. You've got Brady House, who's showing a little bit of positivity here and looks overall better than what he has since when he was first brought up in earlier this season, and of course last year as well. But Seaver King and calling him up makes the most sense for this group. And I wonder why they haven't done that at this point. And I think that where this team is today, it makes sense as to why they, I guess, are waiting until September. But also, this guy is ready. Like, I don't know what more you have to see from Seaver King to make this call. And circling back to what the CJ Abrams move meant, I thought, like, okay, this means that Seaver King is going to get called up any day now. And according to Spencer Nussbaum, that may not be the case. So that part is slightly frustrating, to say the least, because I thought that this group would be able to get it together and call up Seaver, and you're going to have a middle infield tandem of Seaver King at short. You're going to have second base with CJ Abrams, and then Brady House over at third, and Abby Ortiz and Audrey Chaparro over at first. That would have been really fun to watch for the rest of the season. But as of right now, if you're a Nats fan out there, You'll probably have to wait for that time to come. But next, let's talk about a potential revenge game coming for the one and only. I'll tell you right after this. Make baseball season more this year, and on Kalshi, America's #1 prediction market platform, you can trade on every single game. And of course, the Washington Nationals is trading at a 46% to beat the Texas Rangers tonight against the Rangers in Texas. And what's best about Kalshi is there is no house, and that is the best part. It's different from sportsbooks. It's a prediction market where you can predict wins and, of course, buy out later. And on Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning that there is no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. So download the Kalshi app and use code Locked On to get $10 when you trade $10. Again, download the Kalshi app and use code Locked On to get $10 when you trade $10. KALSHI Kalshi. Trade on anything. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Kalshi products are not available in all jurisdictions. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. And we are back here on Locked On Nationals as we might be getting a MacKenzie Gore revenge game on Thursday. Now, the way that this lines up, he last pitched on Saturday, so it's kind of one of those tough ones where, okay, like it's going to be a tight squeeze there. He might get the start on Thursday, but I guess we'll just have to see what the Rangers ultimately decide to do. I guess theoretically he will be bumped to Friday, but man, would it be kind of cool to see MacKenzie Gore go back out there against his old team. And I feel like the Nationals just can't have nice things when it comes to this stuff. But overall, though, if you look back at that move, what a deal it's been for the Nationals to see MacKenzie Gore. Like, he hasn't been his normal self. And I think that this kind of goes back to what we were saying overall. MacKenzie Gore is a good pitcher. Do not get me wrong. But also, I think that a lot of Nats fans, we acted as if that he was like some stud #1 guy, like no brainer. And for us, he was like, he was that #1 guy. And he had a great 2025 season. But also, reality kind of sets in. He was great and a #1 for this team, but on a competitive winning ball club, I think the best case scenario for him is to be a #3, maybe even a #4. And now you're kind of looking at it, and MacKenzie Gore's had a fine season overall, but he hasn't been great. He has a 1.3 B WAR over 26 starts, a 4.45 ERA. And if you look at his fielding independent pitching, he has a 3.78 and a whip that is his career low at this point with a 1.260. And he's also got nearly 10 strikeouts per 9. He's got 3.3 walks per 9, which is a career low. So the underlying metrics are saying that he's had a better year than what the ERA indicates. But also, at some point, you got to have some good results. And the Rangers have not had great defense behind him, clearly. And I think that he's had some bad luck for him. But his ERA plus, according to Baseball Reference, is at an 88 right now. And the average is 100. Duh. He's below average right now. And 2 years before that, in 24 and 25 for the Nationals, he was an above average pitcher compared to that ERA plus. And he has not been this low since the 2022 season with the San Diego Padres. I think Gore is better than what the numbers indicate, but I also think that we've kind of figured out now this move that they made and what they got back in return. I mean, Abby Ortiz is on a tear right now. So that is a good thing to see. And he's going to be going back in his old ballpark tonight against the Rangers. That'll be a really fun one to see. So we'll see what the Nationals can do tonight. And we can see if MacKenzie Gore does get the start on Thursday. Right now, it's still TBD. And I guess we'll see what the Rangers staff decides to do if maybe they try to get MacKenzie Gore out there to pitch just one time against this Washington Nationals team. Because I can tell you this much, if MacKenzie Gore does play, I think we all know we'd be in for a long one. Because that guy is a competitor, and he is going to want to shove it against his former organization that traded him away this past offseason. But We'll see if the Nationals get to do that or not. But until then, I will catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good one. Go Nats.